Night hunters in action. Mi-28NM crews strike enemy forces in Kursk and Svobodny sectors.
Russian Army aviation has intensified operations across several fronts, deploying Mi-28N and Mi-28NM Night Hunter helicopters to devastating effect. In the Kursk region, as part of a mixed tactical group, a Mi-28NM crew targeted and destroyed enemy fighters fleeing toward the Sumy direction. Pursuit strikes ensured that retreating forces could not regroup, delivering a crushing blow to their escape attempt. Meanwhile, in the Svobodny operation zone, another Mi-28N combat helicopter of the Russian Aerospace Forces engaged enemy positions with overwhelming firepower. Armed with 122mm S-13DF unguided rockets mounted on the B-13L1 block, the helicopter delivered a barrage of high-explosive strikes. The warheads, loaded with a volume explosive mixture, unleashed powerful detonations that tore through entrenched defenses and fortified sites. Vostok Group wipes out Ukrainian T-64 tank in DPR. In the Bakhmut region of the Donetsk People's Republic, Russian forces of the Vostok Group successfully destroyed a Ukrainian T-64 tank. The vehicle was first immobilized after hitting an anti-tank mine, leaving it exposed to follow-up strikes. Russian forces then deployed Lancet loitering munitions, which scored a direct hit and triggered the detonation of the tank's onboard ammunition. The destruction did not stop there. FPV drone operators completed the mission by striking the wreckage, ensuring the total elimination of the armored unit. This layered attack, combining mines, precision loitering munitions, and FPV drones, demonstrated the effectiveness of integrated tactics in neutralizing heavily armored enemy assets. The situation on the Pokrovsky front remains tense, where units of the Center Military Group continue their successful offensive. Our soldiers once again demonstrated their high efficiency in destroying enemy fortifications. The published footage shows the destruction of armored vehicles, artillery units, UAVs, motor vehicles, positions, as well as the elimination of Ukrainian infantry and the disabling of enemy equipment. UAV calculations of the Molniya-2 aircraft-type UAVs of the 37th Separate Guards Motorized Rifle Brigade from Beryasha destroy enemy positions and strongholds in the South Donetsk direction. Our intelligence officers have identified the location of the Ukrainian Nazis' drone launchers. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. The armed forces of the Russian Federation carried out 6 group strikes with high-precision weapons and drones. They hit enterprises of the Ukrainian defense industry and energy facilities maintaining them, an oil refinery supplying fuel to the AFU in the Donbass, and depots storing Sapsan operational tactical missiles, fuel, artillery and missile weapons, and long-range unmanned aerial vehicles. In addition, strikes were delivered at the military airfield infrastructure, long-range unmanned aerial vehicles command posts, temporary deployment areas of Ukrainian armed formations, nationalists, and foreign mercenaries. Over the week, the Sever group of forces in Sumy region inflicted losses on manpower and hardware of 2 heavy mechanized brigades, 4 mechanized brigades, a Jaeger brigade, 2 air assault brigades, 2 assault regiments of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade. In Kharkov region, strikes were delivered at formations of 2 mechanized brigades, an assault brigade, a motorized infantry brigade, an assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade. Over the week, the AFU lost more than 1,120 troops, 3 tanks, 23 armored fighting vehicles, and 74 motor vehicles in the Sever group of forces area of responsibility. 26 field artillery guns including 3 NATO-made artillery pieces, 3 electronic warfare and counterfire radars as well as 41 ammunition, fuel, and material depots were neutralized. As a result of resolute actions, the Zapad group of forces liberated Khaladizi, Donetsk People's Republic. Russian troops engaged formations of 2 mechanized brigades, a motorized infantry brigade, an assault brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade. The enemy lost more than 1,650 troops, 5 tanks including 3 German-made Leopard tanks, and 28 armored fighting vehicles including 19 NATO-made armored vehicles. The Russian troops neutralized 118 motor vehicles, 11 field artillery guns, a Grad MLRS, 39 electronic warfare and counterfire radars, and 35 ammunition depots. The Sever group of forces inflicted damage on manpower and hardware of 2 mechanized brigades, 3 air assault brigades, a Jaeger brigade, an assault regiment of the AFU, and a territorial defense brigade near Unikovka, Alexievka, Korchakovka, Sadki, Banyakino, and Novaya Guda, Sumy region. In Kharkov direction, units of a mechanized brigade and a motorized infantry brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine have been hit near Okremovka and Volchansk, Kharkov region. The AFU lost more than 170 troops, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 4 motor vehicles, 6 field artillery guns including 3 Western-made guns, and an electronic warfare station. 6 ammunition and material depots were neutralized. Units of the Zapad group of forces improved the tactical situation. Russian troops engaged a mechanized brigade, an assault brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades near Monikanovka, Kupiansk, Kharkov region, Karpovka, Kirovsk and Khaladizi, Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy losses amounted to more than 220 troops, a tank, 4 armored fighting vehicles, 11 motor vehicles, a Western-made artillery gun, a counterfire radar, and 5 electronic warfare stations. 4 field ammunition depots were destroyed. Units of the YUG group of forces took more advantageous lines and positions. In addition, strikes were delivered at manpower and hardware of 4 mechanized brigades, an airmobile brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, a marine brigade, and a territorial defense brigade close to Alexandro-Kalinovo, Seversk, Stepanovka, Konstantinovka, and Dranovka, Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost more than 175 troops, an armored fighting vehicle, 5 motor vehicles, a Western-made field artillery gun, and 2 electronic warfare stations. An ammunition and 3 material depots were eliminated. The Center group of forces liberated Filia, Dnipropetrovsk region, as a result of offensive operations. Russian elements hit formations of 2 mechanized brigades, an assault brigade, a Jaeger brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, a marine brigade, a territorial defense brigade, and a National Guard brigade in the vicinity of Zolotoy Kolodez, Krasnoarmeysk, Oktyabrskoy, Rodinskoy, and Dmitrov in the Donetsk People's Republic. The AFU losses amounted to up to 420 troops, an armored fighting vehicle, 2 artillery guns, 13 motor vehicles, and a counterfire radar. 2 ammunition depots were destroyed. The Vostok group of forces continued advancing into the depth of enemy defense. Russian formations engaged manpower and hardware of a mechanized brigade and an assault brigade of the AFU near Kamyshavaka and Novokatskoy, Donetsk People's Republic. The AFU losses amounted to more than 230 troops, 5 armored fighting vehicles, 11 motor vehicles, and an artillery gun. An ammunition and a material depots were eliminated. The Neper group of forces inflicted losses on units of a mountain assault brigade of the AFU and 2 territorial defense brigades close to Kamenskoy, Primorskoy, and Malokatarinovka, Zaporizhzhia region. The enemy losses amounted to up to 55 troops, 11 motor vehicles, and 7 electronic warfare stations. 1 material depot was destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, attack drones, missile troops and artillery of the Russian groups of forces have struck site of the Sapsan Operational Tactical Missile Storage Facility, drone manufacturing shop, a depot of unmanned aerial vehicles, and temporary deployment areas of Ukrainian armed formations in 146 areas. Air defense facilities shot down 3 U.S. made HIMARS MLRS projectiles and 172 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, the enemy lost 665 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 79,322 unmanned aerial vehicles, 625 anti-aircraft missile systems, 24,755 tanks and other armored fighting vehicles, 1,588 MLRS combat vehicles, 28,873 field artillery guns and mortars. 40,314 units of support military vehicles.